Welcome to Portal PT Talks, where we cover all things fitness, rehab, and self-development. Today on episode 3, we have the pleasure of interviewing Katie St. Clair. She's a personal trainer, strength and conditioning coach, and PRI specialist with 20 years of experience in the fitness industry. We'll cover if online training is legit, what characteristics your online program or trainer should possess, body image on Instagram, stretching, and what the future holds for the fitness industry. I'm your host, Kyle Wall, and let's jump in. Of Portal PT Talks, and today we have Katie St. Clair. She's going to be talking to us a little bit about online personal training, what she does, her specialties, and really just, I want to give her a huge shout out. I really liked her Instagram. I saw it for like the past, I followed you, I think, for like the past year, and you have awesome exercises on there. And
Thank you.
yeah, it's just super cool. And you do a lot with like your new online training program that you've put together, and definitely want to give you a shout out. I think you 100% deserve all the, what's the word? You just need to get some people on there and just get to see what you're doing out there. So,
Thanks.
but yeah, enough about me talking. Let's just get into kind of who you are, Katie, and your story.
Sure. So thank you so much for having me on, and I'm looking forward to hearing more of your podcast. Especially, I think where you're going with it is really great to shine the light on some trainers that maybe don't have a chance to get out in front of the audience that I think people would really benefit from. So that's awesome. So I'm really thankful for you for doing that. But a little bit about me, I have been training for 20 years. I'm a strength and conditioning coach. I was an athletic trainer in college and kind of switched my emphasis and decided I really didn't like that and went into training side of things, and eventually developed my own business where I trained primarily general population and some athletes for years now. So I've trained all over the world and the country, but I now live here in Charleston, South Carolina, and I've had my own private training business for 12 years now. And I just delved into the online world about maybe a year ago. And at that point, even a year ago, I was just posting. I wasn't really making an income out of it. So I would say I really started to make more of a business out of it just this past maybe May, June. And yeah, so that's a small synopsis. And right now I am still doing my online training with 101, and then I do my group Empowered Performance program. And then I also still train currently almost full time with my group and one-on-one clients in person.
Right. So, and what's the name of the online training program again?
It's the Empowered Performance program.
That's right. Gotcha. I really like that name.
Yeah,
so I'm kind of in the same boat. Like I just started adding in some online training. I've delved into it like about a year ago. It really was just like I moved from Lexington, Kentucky, all the way up here to Seattle, and I just had a couple of clients that were like, I still want to do your workouts. So that was a way for me to stay connected with previous clients. But now it's kind of growing into this whole other thing. And I think there's a lot of room in the industry for this. And you can see a lot of big time Instagram people out there, big companies putting together programs for this. But I'd really like to see or hear why you got into the online training and your ultimate goal with it.
Yeah. So I would say the real reason, I'll be really honest about this, is probably going to make some people laugh, but I have a coworker, and we've worked together for 10 years. She's amazing. And she came in one day, and I wasn't even on Instagram. I didn't even really know what it was. I was on Facebook, but not like, I mean, just my life with my family and stuff.
Yeah.
And then, and even that I had kind of cut back from. And so she comes in and she shows me this video of this online trainer who has over 1 million followers now. And I was, I guess I was shocked because I didn't see that online before. So I didn't know that this was what women chose to make their online platform in terms of training about. And it kind of made me sad, to be honest, because I have always strived as a woman in kind of a man's world somewhat,
Hmm.
um, to make sure that I maintain a sense of self, and make my training based on research and education and all of these principles that I think are very important to help my clients and want the best for them. And here I am looking at this woman on Instagram who had so many people out there following her doing these workouts and suggesting that people should, do this programming. And it was awful. Like, it was stuff that would potentially hurt people, and they're just going
Right.
to follow her online and do it because she looks a certain way.
Hmm.
And and the worst part was that her body image was selling everything. And I thought, oh my gosh, if my son, or like if I had a daughter and they grew up seeing that this is how women are portrayed in an industry where we have just as much possibility for educating ourselves and being smart and driven because of our knowledge, and this is what women are, either she's putting herself in that box or we're putting them in that box. And I thought, you know what? I have been doing this for 20 years, and I am not going to put myself out there in skimpy clothes and try to sexualize myself to sell anything, but I am capable of putting out quality content and information that I think trainers who are coming up behind me could use. And that could help impact the way that they see themselves in this profession and want to become more powerful and empowered, using their brain and their knowledge to really help their clients, as opposed to what they look like for people to make the decision to follow their content and their programming. So that was my inspirational moment. And Shannon, my
Right.
friend, I'll give her a good shout out. She's an amazing trainer. And she was the one who was the impetus for
Gotcha.
this whole thing.
That was amazing. Like, that was just blew my mind, like gave me chills, like hearing you like say like why. And because, I think everyone has seen these accounts and exactly what you're talking about. And it is a shame that the fitness industry, unfortunately, has always been driven by body image. But
Yes, for sure. I mean,
yeah.
that's a part, and not just online. It's just online, the content spreads so fast.
Right.
And so many young people are looking at this as the ideal. And I didn't grow up, there wasn't social media. I barely was on a computer, and I didn't even have a
Hmm.
cell phone in college. So I didn't have these influences. And I'm so grateful that I didn't have them, because it allowed me to develop my own sense of self and my own sense of what I felt was purposeful in my education and in my career. And I think there's a couple different avenues you can go down. You can go down this road of image and likability and influence, or you can go down this road of, um, wanting a career that is helping people achieve something in their life that makes them happier and is allowing their bodies to move better and feel better. And that's a very educated sort of road. But women tend to, I think, gravitate more, and men do too. It's not just women.
Definitely.
But I'm a woman, and so I could be a voice for women, I guess, in
Mhm.
that regard.
Definitely. And I think you do a fantastic job of that.
Thanks.
All the content that you put out there, I can see exactly what you're saying. Like, and hearing you say that, it's there. Everything you do, every video, it's very well thought out. You have a why, and it's never like, oh, like do this to get the glutes burning, blah, blah, blah. What you'll see a
Which is
lot of
fine.
the
Everyone
time.
needs a good glute burn.
Definitely. I completely
I
agree.
want to have some science behind it and a why that makes somebody's body because we can give people great looking bodies, and we can also take into account how that's going to affect their skeletal positioning and their overall health.
100%. 100% agree. And I think that type of content needs to be put out there more and more. And I can even see some of these like larger accounts that are in the tens of thousands that are taking a lot of these courses. They're following Zach Couples, Bill Hartman, postural restoration,
Yep.
and they're starting to add a lot of this in there. And I think too, it's really, what's the saying? When waters rise, all boats rise, or whatever it is. And I think there is a shift. It's slow, but there is a shift toward Instagram and a lot of these social influencers that are getting more detail oriented. People want more, essentially.
I
And
agree. I think we're ready to make a concerted effort to push that further as a collective group of people to support one another.
definitely, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I remember I went the other day and I just kind of followed a couple accounts, and I looked at Connor Harris.
Yeah. How do I know Connor?
He's on Instagram. He actually just moved up here to Portland,
Okay.
Oregon. And
I know I follow him, I'm pretty sure, because the
yeah,
name's
he's got a
familiar.
lot of great content out there as well.
Okay.
But I just went through and didn't realize how many people have actually, like, in the past year, since, because like my first course that I took was Zach Couples' Human Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a full year, if not year and a half, since he's been putting that course out there. And a
Not
lot
to
of
mention how much
people,
content he's been putting out
exactly,
for
for
the
the 10
past like
years.
5 years. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable. Yeah.
And it's really starting to catch on, and people are realizing it. And I think and I'm like using this in my training for not only my general population clients, but also in a rehab setting for a lot of my athletes that are coming in. I'm working with CFL players. I'm about to go to work here in like 30 minutes and work with a couple of combine guys looking at the NFL.
Nice.
So it's just small things that you're integrating into these programs, and they're making all the difference. And I think they've made a huge difference in my online clientele as well. And I'm sure you can attest to that. And I think that is a great segue into the next question, which is, what qualities should people actually be looking for in these training programs? Obviously there is the body image portion of it,
Mhm.
hey, but I think people are starting to shift away from that, or they realize, if I'm healthy, I eat well, and I do the right exercises, as a byproduct, I'll create a healthy looking physique, one that's attractive, whatever their goals are with that. But I'd like to know your opinion on what makes a good online trainer and the qualities that these people should be looking for, other than, what that example you gave earlier of that million follower account.
God, it's so hard because there's so much noise out there. But saying that, I mean, if you look even at some of the trainers that are into more of the like bodybuilding style
Hmm.
stuff, but there are a handful of them that are actually using a lot of the principles of breathing and movement within their programming, even for bodybuilding. So they're making that sport safer and better for people so that they can continue to do the sport while respecting what's happening with their skeletal system. One of them that I follow, I hope I get his name right, but Jesse McKeegan.
Hmm.
And he's great because I see like he probably is getting a lot of people who are into aesthetics or whatever, but he's doing it in a way that has really smart programming and is taking into account what's happening with the body. And there are a lot of people doing that. It's just their following is so small compared to the people that are selling the body stuff without that. And we can have both. So everyone should have the standard of both. I think the main thing to look at, Instagram's a great place to start. Look at their content. Are they talking about how it affects the way you move? Are they talking about taking into account what's going to happen into your joints and how positioning can affect how muscles are able to contract and relax? Because if they're not thinking about that, then a lot of times they're going to drive you in more of a compensatory strategy than they already are without really realizing it's not intentional, but look at the Instagram, make sure that people have actual like quality certifications, which is so hard because in our industry, there's so much out there now. It's hard to know what's what, especially if you're general population. Ask for references. I would also say, does that person actually train people in person on a regular basis, or do they have a very large, I would say, if you're going to go with an online trainer that only does online and doesn't train people in person at the moment, they should have at least 10 years of experience. And that's my personal opinion. But if all they do is online training, they don't work with humans in person, they should have had at least 10 years of working with humans before they can just make assessments visually and prescribe you exercises. So that's a good, probably, and there's variations in that, I will say. But,
Right.
it's such a hard thing to
Hmm.
distinguish for the general pop.
I think to add on to that experience factor, because I had my first podcast I did with Levi Kirkpatrick. He's
Uh-huh.
from Lexington, Kentucky, and he was talking about experience and all of that. And I think just adding in, even if someone doesn't have that 10 years of experience, even having, say 2 to 3 years, but they're kicking butt, they're taking other courses, they have a straightforward approach. Like, I think assessment, what
Mm-hmm.
we're going to do about that assessment, what you need, versus there's so many of these programs out there that are just pay $10 a month and you have a split that you could look up online if you really wanted to.
Yeah, and I didn't mean 10 years of experience. I meant 10 years, like if you were just going to do online training and never
Hmm.
work with humans in your life and you were going to get on and do online training, I feel like it's really hard to understand
Yeah.
biomechanics unless you actually work with people. So my thought process, at least there's some part of them that's still sticking with actual humans.
Hmm.
So that the questions that come up and the way people move and your understanding of it from an education perspective evolves. So if you're always working with people, you always get to experience in it in real time.
Right.
And sometimes just doing it with yourself is not as good as coaching someone on it, because then you learn to develop coaching cues and
Hmm.
skills that can help the client that is online remotely. And when you're typing up that exercise, you're going, okay, I want you to think belt buckle to chin, or whatever your cue is that you would use in person, that starts to make sense. Um, I just think it's easier if you're working with people to transition to the online market in a real sustainable way. But
Definitely.
you're right, there's $10 programs everywhere and you're going to get what you pay for.
Definitely get what you pay for with that.
So,
And
I mean, it is what it is. I think some people probably overcharge, but if they're really good and people want to pay it, then that's up to them. But then there's people who I think probably write like really crappy programs and they might be charging $1,000 a month. So
yeah.
how do we know? I don't think we do. And it's kind of a problem, I think, within the whole industry in terms of um, education and what's required of us.
Hmm.
But that's probably not just, I mean, that's PT, that's medicine, that's everything.
Definitely. Well, and I think you kind of answered it there with the word education. And if you're following an account or you're looking at whatever social media that this person is marketing on, are they providing education, or is it just straight up, body image type content? And if they're explaining the how, the why, the when, that's usually probably a great indication, I'd assume, that
Yeah,
they
that's a
know
great way
what
to look
they're,
at it.
yeah, that they are making good content and that they're going to take that same approach and apply it to your programming,
Hmm.
and you get what you pay for kind of deal.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. And how much are they willing to put in with you? Like, are they a caring human who really wants to take the time? If you're having a struggle, will they just call you on the phone and say, hey, let's talk it out?
hmm,
Um, because I know we only have this one session planned for the month that you paid for, but you're in the middle of your program and you're struggling. Like, will they just hop on the phone and like take a call sometimes? Like, I think those things are really important. And, um, you know, making sure when you pick someone that maybe you ask those questions, like, if I'm really struggling, what's next? How do you help me? You know what I mean?
Definitely. I think, and that's how I run my online training. It's 24/7 open communication. You can text me. If we need to, we'll get on a call. And I
Mhm.
think that should be, and this is, I just love how this conversation just segues right into these next questions. But I think that that should be a baseline for a lot of what online trainers should do. They should have open communication just because you don't have that one-on-one time with them, and being able to be there 24/7 for someone, like you said, talk it out, makes
Mhm.
all the difference. And I think that's a huge value that, as online trainers, especially doing positioning and respiratory interventions, we have to do. And I'm,
Mhm.
what's your take on that? I mean, I'm sure, I think you would agree.
With the, assessment?
24/7, or just like the 24/7
Oh,
approach.
24, yeah, so I'm pretty much available all the time.
Yeah.
That's kind of my life now. However, most people are super respectful, and if I don't
Hmm.
get back in, 6 hours, 10 hours, like, they're not gonna be upset at all, and most people are like, "Thank you, I don't know how you answer all these emails and questions."
Right.
Um, and that's the life that I've chosen because I feel like I can get my message out faster if I do that, and I only have so many years left in this career, and I want to make an impact and a difference. So if that's what it takes and it's something I love doing, then I'm willing to do it. And I just think I've had the very good fortune of coming across some people in this industry that were mentors to me, and I had questions and they just hopped on a call, no cost, just let me answer. And they just gave me insight that I'm so grateful for. I feel incredibly lucky. And I guess maybe sometimes, so when somebody's struggling, for me to call them, I just remind myself somebody gave this to you before and you need to pass it on, because that meant the world to me. I will not forget the first time I um, had this revelation after a respiration course. And I reached out to Mike Mullins and I sent him a question. And without like a minute, he responded back and said, "Can I just give you a call tonight?" And here's somebody that I look up to so much. And I got on the phone with him, and he just, for like 45 minutes, chatted with me about this client of mine. And I just thought, wow, that was amazing. Like, I am so grateful. I didn't know him. I knew he did a lot of PRI stuff and I was trying to understand it, but he passed on something to me that I feel it is my job also to pass on to others as much as I can.
Definitely. And I think right there, you probably just added on another quality to be looking for in these online trainers and programs, is that they are caring and that they are truly looking to make an impact, and that, they would, at the drop of a hat, give you a call and talk to you for 45 minutes. But that's awesome. Like, being able to have that experience and uh, set the standard of the industry, at least with what we're all doing and trying to achieve. And especially with the technology we have today, it's like, why wouldn't we, try and spread that message and spread that kind of, let's all work together. Let's try to understand this together. Let's progress the industry forward and help people move better. I think that's awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had a woman in my program right now, and I got this email from her, and she's under a lot of stress. She just opened a CrossFit facility, and she's said, my pelvic floor issues have been um, kind of irritating me since starting the program. And I thought, oh no, that's like the exact opposite of what I wanted to happen. And just her issues were a bit more complicated. And um, I don't care. I want her to be successful in my program, because if she's successful in my program, then she gets to pass on how she maybe had struggles and then turned it around for herself so that she can use that knowledge with her clients and pass it on to the trainers she's going to hire in her gym. Because
Hmm.
this woman has a huge possibility of making an impact in the industry because she's a CrossFit owner.
Right.
And we all know that there are great CrossFit gyms and there are not so great CrossFit gyms. And she has the burden or the opportunity, if you want to look at it that way, of changing a lot of minds, because people are going to walk in that door just because it's CrossFit. And I just thought, I've got to reach out to her and I've got to make sure that this programming makes sense and that she can fix this issue, because she's likely to pass this on to so many people that I'll never get to contact. Most of all, when I'm giving my time, I try to think of how it's going to impact like a larger audience that I would never have any opportunity to impact.
I like that approach. That's something I'm definitely going to steal, especially when making my content, because at least with how I've been going about my content creation and doing these talks, it's been nice. I've been thinking about the individual a lot of times, but
Uh-huh.
I think being able to pass down a message to someone who is already in the industry, so then they can pass it down, that's huge.
I feel like I was not intending that when I got into this, but in terms of like how I thought about it. But now that I'm doing the program and I have, I think 33 mostly fitness professionals, I think there's just a handful of general pop, but and even the general population, like they're going to go tell their friends, wow, I learned this cool breathing thing, try it. Like that's huge, you just don't realize how it can spread. And and I look, like I was saying to my friend Jill the other day, I said, we were talking about, because my course has like a seminar within it. And I said, gosh, all I know is we were talking about Zach's course. Since you've taken this, it kind of
Hmm.
like came in my mind. And she said, I wonder if he's had to change it a lot since we took it, because we took it over a year ago, like a year and a half ago. And I said, oh God, I bet he has. I've changed mine just in 3 weeks because of the comments and questions I've gotten from all these women. And I said, gosh, I can't even imagine like this, how hard he's worked on that, because I literally have never worked so hard in my entire life on something. And so just to see like, once you get into it and you start getting the questions and you realize how much you could do better, even though it's great, like you could change this, and how much effort and time it takes to do something like that. I'm just always like floored by people who go after it and get it done. And I'm not even close to like making a seminar quite like that, but I'm trying to make something from my experience that is applicable to the people who I think I can affect. And anyway, it made me think of, you had said Zach's course, and I thought about my conversation yesterday with my friend Jill, and I was saying it's just way harder than I ever imagined. So online training is not glamorous.
It is not. I
It's a
will.
lot of work.
Well, and if I feel like a lot of folks in this industry, like you and I, where I don't like to be on social media. It's something that for a long time, I deleted all my apps. I was like, I'm just going to train. I'm going to be healthy, stay away from negativity that can be out there.
Right.
And then now it's the complete opposite. I'm completely, I'm in this. I don't really like it, but we have a message that can be passed on and it's of value. And I think the more that people are doing this and they're utilizing the technology we have to spread these principles around, the better.
Mhm.
And the basic education we're getting in PE class eventually will change. And hopefully people will look at, I'm going to do exercise X, Y, and Z, and it affects my system this way versus I just want to strengthen my biceps or my rhomboids. And here's 10 exercises that do it.
Yeah, I almost feel like it's funny you said that about PE, because if we could get back to PE style training, we'd probably
Yeah.
all be a lot better off.
Well,
Just
and that's,
crawling around and
yeah, well, that's one of
moving
my
our body.
goals is, so and for everyone that's already listened to this, they already know that I do Portal PT, which is like a telehealth rehabilitation physical therapy system
Yeah, I
that
love
I
that.
put together. And really, whatever happens with that, awesome. If it works out, if it doesn't, I'm doing the online training. But my ultimate goal in the long run is to try to get into, call it a nonprofit, something of that sort, and try to get back to PE and educating kids and really just instead of dealing with these issues, people have gone 20 years and they always say, well, it started when I fell off my skateboard when I was 12. And it's instead of being so retroactive, I want to try to establish proactive approach
Hmm.
and educating kids and parents and overall starting there. So that way these principles are already at least being ingrained at a younger age and these kids are thinking and more in tune with their body. But that's maybe in the next 10 years or something.
I don't know. I think you've got something there. There's something going on, whether we want to say it's sleep or the facial development of our maxilla and
Hmm.
our mandible and what's happening
Visual
nutritionally with our
system.
kids, visual system, autism. I mean, you look at all of these things that seem to be on the rise. And so I think there's a huge impact you can make if you can come at it from childhood first, and that education portion. I don't know. I think you're onto something. I
Yeah.
I wish you luck. I have a 5-year-old boy, so I know how
Right.
hard it is to just get him to pay attention to me.
Right. Well, and at least I want to take the PRI pediatrics course. That's
I
like,
actually really want to take that because it has no relationship with anything I do in life, but just
mm,
for my son.
yeah, no, I mean, I'm completely there. Like, I'm looking to have kids, here soon. So it's like, I want to be able to make sure they're strong and healthy to the best of their ability. Heck, I've
Yeah.
got a dog and I'm like, how can I add some breathing or something to how I
Your
walk my
dog
dog?
is probably way more sophisticated
Yeah, I'm like, well,
biologically than us in some ways.
right.
He's
But
got a narrow infrasternal angle, so he's a good compensator.
there we go, right? Yeah. I'm lucky are you narrow or are you wide?
I have an arrow.
Same. Yeah, I'm right there. All right. Well, so let's get into the next kind of question that I have for you, which is
Okay.
where do you see a lot of this online training going? And the and you can even include what you're planning on doing with empower your program that you're doing.
Yeah.
But like the technology, all that's involved, do you think that online personal training will take over? Or is this something that's always going to be a subsection of the fitness industry?
Yeah, no, God, I hope it doesn't. I think people crave human interaction, and I think we're missing human interaction more than anything right now in this world, and that's a problem. Um, I think that if anything, group online training might be, in my opinion now, and I just started this, but having done online clients since May, well, maybe March, actually probably March, and then starting the group thing. The group online allows for a camaraderie like I've never seen. These women are connecting now. Like I had 3 or 4 of them realize that they're all in New York City and they're going to meet up and work out together doing the program. So how cool is that?
Yeah, that's
They're
awesome.
sharing playlists, like their favorite music playlists for when they're working out. They're just talking about their struggles because you can create an online format that creates human interaction.
Hmm.
But no, I don't, because I think people in their everyday lives may be on a computer all the time. And so they want to go to the gym and take that fitness class with all their friends that they get to see in person. So
Hmm.
I don't think there's ever going to be not a need for that. And I hope that online training evolves into something that is more interactive and creates a space for human interaction and camaraderie overall. Like I think what oh James Serby and Kyle are doing with Rebel Performance, and they created that Train app. And I think what they're doing is trying to create a community of like-minded people that drive each other with smart programming. And that's what we need more of. We need more of that feeling of I have a space in this world and I have people who are backing me up and want to make sure that I'm doing things to the best that I can. I let them know what my struggles are and they're going to root me on. So I hope that online training goes that route, and I hope it goes with smart programming. And I also think, at least for me, the one thing the women have all said to me, it's really nice to have the why, like the education component, alongside the programming.
Mhm.
So with what I do, it's a 12-week training program. The next time I launch it, it's actually going to be 16 weeks because I did a pre-program first and then the 12 weeks, but it'll be 16 weeks. And each week we do a call, and the call is an educational portion of a seminar that I wrote. That's a 2-day seminar, essentially broken up into 12 weeks. So they start to learn, why would Katie pick this exercise? Why is she telling me to do it this way? How can I change it based on my anatomy that I have at the moment, or my compensatory strategies, to make it more applicable to me? And they discover throughout the program how they can get their bodies to move better. And by the end of the 12 weeks, I want them to feel not only that they are stronger and more resilient and more athletic and can move better, but they understood what it took along the way to make that happen in terms of the exercise selection and the programming. So that if they want to pass that on to their clients, they can pass it on. If they want to teach other trainers themselves this information, because some of these women have big online audiences, they can pass it on to all their followers that take their courses. Because all my courses is a bunch of different people that I've taken courses from
Mhm.
and consolidated into how I have translated that information into my own training. So I hope online goes that way, where it somehow provides a educational component with the training, because I think that's really important. Because if you
That
educate somebody, they'll have lifelong success. But if you just give them a program and say, do this, they will never understand the why, and they won't be able to make changes to some other program they might jump into. Like if my clients come to me and they know, well, Katie said I should not do a squat and sitting back on my heels with a big arch in my back, and then they go in an Orange Theory class, they're just going to ignore that instructor that's yelling at them to do that and say, nope, I know what's good for my body. So they get the benefit of the fun of the class, but then they have the education component for me, and now they understand the why. So they can use that. They can use it their whole life when they sit down or stand up from a chair, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah. I've been that person at Orange Theory. And
You have? Where
yeah,
you like yelled at people?
yeah. Oh, no, no, no. I was in the class participating and I was
Oh,
being yelled at from my form.
oh,
And
I've so been there too.
yeah. And I'm like, like,
But
I
you just
just,
kind of have to be like, thank you.
yeah, I'm just polite, like, thank you. I appreciate it. And then I keep doing what I'm doing and they're
Yeah.
just staring at me or like, give me a stink eye. But it's
But
pretty
it's not
awkward.
like necessarily their fault. It's the industry. And I mean, at
And
some point, I hope to educate just all those people too, like to trickle
right.
down.
And
I don't
I
know if that's possible, but I think it could be. I want to do
think
it
it
here in
is.
Boston live because,
Yeah. I
you
think
know,
it's good to start. Since taking seminars, I've understood the power of a seminar and what it can do in the courses and but and why I really connected with Zach's course, and I'm really glad that was the first course I took, is
mhm,
because he, I mean, for lack of a better word, he dumbs it down. He brings it down to your level, no matter what experience. I feel like I could have walked in there and had a basic exercise science degree and had my mind blown and still been able to understand that. So
mhm.
if you take that same approach and you apply it to going into an Orange Theory or saying, hey, like, let me teach you all like what I know, like this is a better warm up, this is a better way to do this, I think people embrace it. But it just takes time. And I really liked your what you were talking about the CrossFit. And think about when CrossFit first came out. It was 10-15 years ago, and everyone you know talked crap about it. Everyone still kind of talks crap about it, but it is established and it is in the part of the industry. And so I think about
What's your wad, dude?
right. Yeah. Well, but I also think about Zach, Bill Hartman, all these folks. They've only been really around for the past maybe 3 to 5 years, and you give them another 5 or so years of them marketing, and
Yeah.
what's the industry going to look like?
Yeah. I mean, it's huge. And I love that Bill's putting out so much content
Yeah.
now on social media, and, he's passing it on to so many great therapists and trainers. And I every time I see like somebody I went to the intensive with recently just got an Instagram me, Mark Rubin, giving him a
Mhm.
shout out. Mark P. Rubin, follow him because he's smart and he's got really good content. And he probably has like 200 followers. But
Yeah,
follow him because you will learn so much, because he went to the intensive with me, and I was like, please post, like, because you're like creating so much change every time you do. And anybody I've ever come across, I just want them to keep doing it, even if it's just once a week,
definitely.
because
And
it makes a difference.
that's how I look at it too. I'm not the smartest guy out there with these principles. I like to think I do a pretty good job, but if I can at least connect someone to someone that knows way more than me and is, they can truly fix their problems or whatever their goals are, like 100%. Like I will shout out anyone any time of the day, because again, we're here to, and again, adding in something for a what to look for in a quality trainer is someone that'll is quick to refer out if they need to, and that they're looking for a community based approach and
Hmm.
with their principles and what they're doing. I think that's a great way to kind of look at that, and for people looking for online training.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But and back to the kind of the future of the industry, I really liked what you said about the online fitness, and I'm just like picturing in my head, or the online fitness classes. I'm picturing in my head VR, like Oculus on, and people just in their living room, but it's like showing that they're in a gym setting with a bunch of other people. And I think something like that could definitely take off. And I think
Yeah, it's
there's,
kind of like Peloton a
yeah,
little bit.
Peloton,
They're
and
doing it.
I'm
Um,
sure it'll pop up in the next 2, 3 years, easy, if not sooner.
yeah, I mean, I think they're definitely going to have competition in the next few years because it's becoming so
Mhm.
big.
Right. And
Yeah,
that's,
but it's still kind of sad because, I still want people to go to the gym. That's a community thing.
well, I recently, there's a gym down the street from me, and I haven't had a gym membership in, well, since I started personal training like 5, 6 years ago. I haven't had to pay for one at least, but I
Right.
haven't been going to a gym for the past year. I just work out in our clinic that we have, because we have squat racks, we have all kinds of stuff there.
Oh, nice.
But I finally got a gym membership because it's right down the street, and I started going past like 2 weeks. I'm like, I missed going somewhere, getting out of the house, and just being able
Mm.
to like be in this environment. And I think that is
Yes.
definitely huge. And I'm getting the mental, the cognitive effects. I don't know what it is, but it's nice and it makes me feel good. Maybe it's
It's
just
just
because
so
I,
much different to me too,
yeah,
to have a gym. I mean, when we went, me and my husband went one year where we didn't have a gym membership, and we like worked out in the yard. And that was great until like 6 months. And I just really missed
yeah,
going in and having that time to myself. So never again.
never again. You have to have the gym membership. But
Yeah,
and
I
that's,
mean, for me at least, I'm sure some people like the anonymity of
mhm,
their own home gym or something.
definitely. Well, and I think that's where online training can be super beneficial for people. And it's a way to reach out to someone that you think is a leader in the industry and can help you get started, learn principles. That education platform, like what you're doing, that's huge. But again, you're teaching them, and then they can go and apply it and work out wherever they want and do
Yes,
wherever they want. And I think us as professionals need to push that too. Like, this is the environment you like. Awesome. You can take these principles and add it in wherever you want.
exactly. Yes.
So cool. Well, let's get into the kind of, I know we're kind of going a little bit over time. We're getting close to our cutoff time. But let's talk about you a little bit more. I have kind of my fire round, 3 questions off the cuff. Just yeah, let's just jump into it. So,
Sure.
what is the worst fitness or physical therapy advice you've ever gotten?
Oh, this is like such a, just you're gonna just invite the critics, but
That's the point of the podcast.
I'm gonna say there's no bad advice because
Mhm.
there's even bad advice has some merit and should be thought about. But and it's advice I've given myself many times over the years is to stretch. So I would say the worst advice I've ever been given is to stretch this because it's tight. X, Y, or Z, throw a muscle in there.
Mhm.
And it provides no value to my body at all. And I'm okay with saying that now. I know that's going to probably irritate some people, but I would say to stretch.
I agree with that.
Well, watch out.
I know, and
You're going to get in trouble.
but it's what we got to do as if we're trying to create a message,
Yeah.
and it's just again the why behind it, and
Yeah.
but people still
What are you
connect.
actually doing? And do you understand what is
Right.
happening when you stretch something?
And that's a whole topic for a whole another
Yeah.
podcast,
Yeah.
which I'm probably going to have to ask you to explain. But at least with no, I agree. And but that word and the semantics behind stretch, people connect to it, and you can still say, let's stretch this, but you're doing a completely different sort of activity, and they're maybe getting something that resembles the sensation they understand. So I think the word just has a connotation.
Yeah, but I think like people they underestimate what potentially that could do
Mhm.
to someone's positioning, and then that could affect their overall health.
Right.
And so, I still see a lot of trainers, and I was guilty of it myself, yanking on people's legs, stretching their hamstrings, doing all kinds of excessive stuff, or having their clients get into these weird positions. And I think this is not good for that person. I see it all the time. And I, I, I think that we can start progressing a different concept of how do we inhibit and facilitate. Um, Shirley Sarman years ago. I mean, like,
Yeah.
how many years has it been now? Like,
Right.
can we all just agree that she probably was onto something, and we should learn how to um, make our muscles work in a way, work being the operative word, um, to stop other muscles from working as much. So it's a balance of how much do we want things to work rather than do we want to just stretch something because it provides some neurological sensation that tells our brain that this position is okay. And then we're stuck even more in that position.
Yeah.
What are we doing? It kind of makes no sense. And it's causing people to be in a lot of pain. And so I hope that all I can say is that's probably the worst advice, but I gave it myself. I'm totally guilty and I've
Yeah.
stretched people. So there you go.
I like it. No, let's ruffle some feathers, why not? Cool. Um, yeah, I think what you said, inhibit and activate, that's the goal, and what we should be looking for versus right off the bat, at least question why stretch? Why are you going to do that? Is it just because it's tight or that client's reporting it? Doesn't always mean that we should. Think about it. Take a second. Just see if you got something else in the toolbox. Foam roll. Do something
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
um, but before we jump down that rabbit hole anymore, let's
Yeah.
go on to the next one. So, who is someone that you look up to? Doesn't have to be in the fitness industry. Just anyone, everyone.
Yeah. I mean, the number one person I probably look up to in my life is my dad. And I didn't always feel that way. But I do now as an adult and a parent and someone who's trying to support her family and realizing how much it takes to pursue something and not only pursue it with day to day, just doing your job, but actually with a passion and wanting to really help people. He's an OBGYN, and he has talked to me about times in his life where he's really failed, and he has had patient interactions that things happened and he had to struggle really hard and then kind of move forward. And he took on things in his life that at his age, he could have just said, no, I'm just going to do laparoscopic surgery for the rest of my 15 years. But the Da Vinci came out and he said, you know what? I'm going to learn how to do robotic surgery at whatever. I think he was like 60 years old. And he didn't have to do that because laparoscopic is clearly fine now. And he doesn't make
Yeah.
more money for doing that. But he wanted to offer his patients a service that was the best. And he challenged his own brain no matter what to keep going, and it ended up paying off and becoming a really inspiring part of his job. For I think he semi-retired this year and he'll be retired this summer. And it's opened up a lot of avenues in the way he can impact other physicians in their lives. And so even for me, like I remember applying to the intensive, and that was I don't know, nerve wracking, a lot of self doubt, a lot of feeling like I wasn't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me about all of his self doubt. And so I just look up to somebody that's willing to say, I've really struggled, and I've made mistakes, but I'm doing the best I can throughout my life. And I'm owning my mistakes in the past and then pushing forward in life. And so I guess he's my biggest role model because that's what I would like to do. And that's what I want my son to see me doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, my dad.
I really like that. I think, and I'm just going to add this to the list of qualities to be looking for in these online trainers, is having a sense of humility. I think that's huge, and honesty, and being able to ruffle feathers, because that's
Yeah.
someone that, they're trying something different, they're doing something different, and you should try to at least find out what they're doing.
Yes, if you ever need a list of all the ones I think are amazing. And it's funny, like in my little circle on Instagram, I could probably find like 50, but
Hmm.
I bet no one sees them. That might
Right.
be a fun object or a project for you to do, is start making a list of all the people you should know if you're hiring someone for remote training that maybe you
Hmm.
don't. That could be kind of fun.
Definitely. And I
And
mean,
price points, like this person's in this price point, so
yeah,
people can kind of choose.
yeah, and go about it, and just, I mean, that's kind of, I'm slowly putting it together. I'm trying to get a couple more podcasts, and that way I can at least like link to directly to people and be like, this was a conversation I had, this is them. Like, it's kind of like their interview with the trainer in a way, so that way they can make the most educated decision that they can.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome. Love
yeah,
that.
and especially because there's so many smart people out there that are applying these principles, but I find that with high intelligence with a lot of this, it's like we've all focused and focused and focused on trying to be the best and make sure we're doing quality content, but it's like, how the hell do you get it out there now? Like, how do you get people to understand or like see that this is quality, and compared to someone that already has such a large following? So it's,
Yeah, that's your burden.
yeah.
I'm just
Right.
going to keep trying to teach trainers and hope it works out.
Yeah, but I mean, in a way, you're doing your part right there,
Yeah,
and
I'm trying. Yeah.
exactly. So one person at a time. I had a
Exactly.
client that he opened up 40. I don't know if you have Cheddar's down your way, but it's a restaurant. Yeah, and he opened up.
Checkers, not cheddars.
Yeah, he opened up 40 of them though.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he grew it up from, like, there were only two of them down in Texas or something. And he told me, he's like, the one way to grow a business and to grow like something that you're doing in like principles and all that is you have to talk to one person, and then that one person is going to tell your story every time they talk to someone, and
Yeah.
they're going to recommend you. And he's like, you just have to win over one person a day and have these one-on-one interactions. And that's something I wish online training was a little bit easier to do, is have this conversation. And that's, I give out a free 15-minute consult. Usually they go 30 minutes, 45 minutes,
I
but
know
it's,
that.
yeah, but it's like, let me talk to you. Let me like have this conversation. Let's connect like on a level other than just like messaging over Instagram or something.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, all right. So last question I got.
Right.
What are your go-to education and self-improvement resources?
Oh gosh.
Give me three.
So I'll give you, do you want people or books or?
Whatever you got.
I mean, obviously I've taken a lot of PRI, so that's probably very influential. Bill Hartman's been hugely influential.
Hmm.
Zach's influential. Just so many people. My husband is phenomenal
Yeah.
PT.
I'm going to
So I'm
get him on this
super,
show here soon. I'm going
super
to.
lucky I get to live with him. Um, I'm like, can you explain this to me? Like all the time.
Yeah.
So that one of my very best friends, Jill Zimmerman, is a PT here, and she and I work out together. So I'm super lucky because I bounce tons of us. She's a pelvic floor health specialist, and she was part of my online program. So she's amazing. And then I read a lot. Like if there's a book that I hear about on a podcast or something, I will
Hmm.
literally, I just click Amazon and buy it.
Yeah.
I skim a lot of things. I'm kind of a weird fast reader, but and like all of my books on tape, I listen to them in 2 times the speed. So it sounds
I'm
really
so
weird.
jealous. I wish I was like that. I
I'm like,
cannot read. I have to like listen. I'm so visual and like hands-on.
that's how my husband is. I don't think I stress myself out about absorbing everything, so then I'm able
Mm,
to absorb more. But I actually created a little book club with some of my fellow intensive peeps that we
nice.
went together, and that's kind of neat. And I've been slacking on it lately. We're reading Franz Bosch's book, Strength Training and Coordination. Um, and that's an awesome book. I'll just literally buy anything, and then hopefully I get something out of it, and I kind of
Right.
read a chapter here and there. And then as far as my own personal health, um, I need to meditate more, and I was in a really healthy practice of it until all this online stuff started kind of blowing up. So I need to get back to that because I think that's an incredible way
Hmm.
to educate yourself and just find strength in your own body. And then honestly enough, like the one thing that provides me like a sense of calm is cooking.
Yeah.
That sounds really weird, but I've been cooking my entire life. I was in the kitchen with my mom growing up. I have 2 younger sisters, and I always helped out. So there's like this aspect of me when I cook. It's like my creative mode, and I can kind of just zone out. So what I always recommend to people is find something that is not fitness if you are a fitness professional, and find your own creative mode that you can kind of let go. 'Cause it's kind of like meditation in a way for me. Most
Yeah.
people are like, I hate cooking. I don't know what
Right.
she's talking about, but I really love
Meal
it.
prepping and all. I get that. No, I like that. And with cooking, I've actually kind of found that same kind of like, I don't know, my girl, she hates it, but like with all this content creation, I'm like, I could have been in marketing super easy. Like it's something I just love doing, and I didn't expect to like this kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
you kind of like get in that state and you're just like, oh, like I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's whatever does it for you, I guess.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, cool. All right, so we're gonna finish up the show. Where can we find you? What's your website? What's your Instagram? All that stuff. Just give us a little blip, and then I'll let you get on with your day.
Okay. So my website's katiestclairfitness.com. Um, you can read what you want through that. I just transferred website, so my blog is not all on there. So I'll start updating my content. But all of the information on the Empowered Performance program is on there. And actually, that is signups for that are going to start next Wednesday. And on Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, I am having a free live call on Zoom for anybody on the wait list for that. And it will be all about squatting, hinging, the pelvic mechanics. So people, because I've had so many people ask me lately about like nutations and counter nutation and how the innominants move. And so I'm going to include a little bit of that, the difference between inhalation and exhalation, how that affects pelvic mechanics and how that can be implemented into the squat and hinge.
Hmm.
And then, what else was I going to talk about on there? Something else. Anyway, we'll get a lot of, oh, I'm going to give you some like coaching tips on how to help your clients if they are needing more nutation or counter nutation to kind of get them there so their hinge and their squats a little more efficient. So that's at 1 p.m. next Wednesday. My program will open up after that and for anybody on the wait list. And then the program will start, I don't know the exact date. I feel like it's the 21st of February. So anybody can sign up for that. That is interested in learning more about these concepts and then also having like the programming and that the training is 4 to 5 days a week. And then if anybody wants online training, I'm available for one-on-one. And that's pretty much it. And you can find me on Instagram. That's where I know you. That's the only social media platform I'm on now. So that's
Gotcha.
it.
It's
I
good
love
enough.
Instagram though. It's fun. I get lots of questions and I like questions. So don't feel shy to reach out to me and ask me something.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be on the show. And I hope to have you on here soon. I want to hear about how the empowering performance is going here in like 6 months or so.
Yeah.
And we should definitely, if you're taking a course or something anytime soon, that pediatrics course, I definitely want to jump in that one with you.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
It was so great to come on, Kyle. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Cool. So just in summary, really quick, things to look for in an online trainer: open communication 24/7 if possible. They're offering that. They're caring. They have humility. They're able to, you know, really just provide quality content out there. It's not just about, you know, the body image, and, you know, they have a why behind what they're doing. But I think those are all kind of the highlights of what we talked about. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, I think you nailed it.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll sign it off there. Thank you so much, Katie.
Thank you very much, Kyle.